Hiddensee is a car-free island in the Baltic Sea, located west of Germany's largest island, Rügen, on the German coast. The island is located at 54 degrees 33 north, 13 degrees 07 east, and has about 1,300 inhabitants. It was a popular holiday destination for East German tourists during German Democratic Republic times and continues to attract tourists today with its natural beauty. It is the location of the University of Greifswald's ornithological station. Gerhard Hauptmann and Walter Felsenstein are buried there. The name Hiddensee surfaces as early as the prose Edda and the Gesta Danorum written by Saxo Grammaticus and means island of hidden. The legendary Norwegian king, Hedin, was supposed to have fought here for a woman or even just for gold. Under Danish rule the name Hiddensee was common. Even in 1880 the island was shown in German maps as Hiddensee and in 1929 in German holiday guides as Hiddensee. Its full Germanization to Hiddensee is thus relatively recent. Geography. Hiddensee is about 16.8 kilometers long, about 250 meters wide at its narrowest point and about 3.7 kilometers wide at its broadest point. It is the largest island within the Western Pomerania Lagoon Area National Park and belongs to the district of Vorpommern-Rügen in the state of Mecklenburg, Western Pomerania. It lies west of the island of Rügen and is divided into an undulating, over 70-meter high northern part, a dune and heath landscape in the central area and a flat, only a few meters high southern part, the Gällen. In the north is of the 2-3-kilometer-long spits of Alta-Bessan and Neue-Bessan. The island is bounded by the Zapfe and Witteboden to the east, the Gällenstrom to the south and the open Baltic Sea to the west and north. Geology. The island of Hiddensee is, from a geological perspective, a very young landscape and was formed during the last ice age about 12,000 years ago. The ice age left behind here a young drift landscape. As a result of thawing inland ice, the underlying land rose and the hollows filled with water. The predecessor of what became the Baltic Sea, Anselus Lake, emerged. As a result, only protruding ridges like the Dornbusch remained visible as islands. The overall shape of the coast in the southern area of the Baltic Sea was formed during the Littorina transgression about 7,000 to 2,500 years ago. Around 5,000 years ago, the sea level attained its present level and the Dornbusch and two older island coasts became islands. 4,500 years ago the saltwater currents from the North Sea were sharply reduced. The Baltic has slowly become less salty since. As a result of coastal erosion the islands changed to the present shapes over the course of time. For example, the former three island coasts were joined to one another by accretion. This process still carried sand away from the north of the Dornbusch. In 2000, 60,000 cubic meters of till twice broke off from the northern tip of the Hiddensee in the area of the Totekerl and collapsed into the sea. On average the cliff edges of the Dornbusch recede about 30 centimeters per year. In mid-March 2004 another 10,000 cubic meters collapsed into the sea. Geologically seen the Hiddensee is a region undergoing constant change. The land masses carried away from its northern tip are washed up again at the southern end and on the east side of the Zapfe. This has caused the formation of two geologically recent spits at the southern end of the Gällen, the Alta-Bessan and Neue-Bessan. The Alta-Bessan began to appear about 300 to 400 years ago and was already over 3 miles long by the middle of the 19th century. Since then it has barely grown. On the other hand, the Neue-Bessan, which appeared in 1900, is growing by 30 to 60 meters annually and is already 3 kilometers long. Meanwhile, a third Bessan is emerging. Even the southern tip is growing as a sea called windward into the Chapeau-de Bodden climate. Hiddensee is dominated macroclimatically by the Baltic Sea coastal climate with frequent alternation between maritime and continental influences. Characteristically, it has frequent brisk and changeable winds and long periods of sunshine. This averages 1,850 hours per year. As a result, Hiddensee is one of the sunniest places in Germany. One special feature is so-called trans-period wind circulation, when there are weak, offshore wind conditions, and which is caused by the different temperatures over the sea inland. This produces a sea breeze in late morning that abates in the afternoon or evening. The long-standing annual average temperature on the island is 8 degrees Celsius. The average wind speed in Kloster is 7 meters per second. In comparison to the nearby island of Rügen, the average annual precipitation on Hiddensee is markedly less at 540 millimeters. In 2008, Hiddensee Dornbusch was the sunniest place in Germany, as reported by the weather service Meteormedia, with 2,168 hours of sunshine. The data was gathered by Meteormedia's own weather station, 69 meters above nitrogen mononitride. Flora and fauna. Hiddensee is the largest island in the Western Pomerania Lagoon Area National Park and blends an old cultural landscape with the wood pastures of the original Dune heathland. The large accumulations of new land in the northeast and south of Hiddensee offer habitats for numerous invertebrates, such as worms and mussels. These in turn provide nourishment for many migrating birds. For example, the area around the island is one of the most important crane roosting areas in Germany. The southern tip of the island is, like the Neue Bessan, was therefore classified as conservation zone of the national park and is out of bounds. On the island are two nature reserves: the Dunnenheide der Insel Hiddensee Nature Reserve between Neuendorf and Witten, the Dornbusch and Schwedenhagener UFER Nature Reserve in the north. The Naturschutzgesellschaft Hiddensee und Boddenlandschaft maintains a national park house in Witt, with a permanent exhibition of fauna and flora. In 1936, the Hiddensee Bird Observatory was established on the island. Subdivisions. The municipality of Insel Hiddensee has 4 subdivisions. Greben is the oldest, northernmost and smallest village on Hiddensee and lies on the eastern edge of the uplands of the island. Its name comes from the Slavic grib. Greben has no harbour of its own. Kloster. The parish of Kloster gets its name from the former Cistercian abbey, which stood from 1296 to 1536 in the vicinity of the present harbour in Kloster. It was dissolved with the Reformation. Today Kloster, with its Gerhard Hauptmann House, the island church and island cemetery with the graves of Gerhard Hauptmann, Walter Felsenstein and Greg Palluke, is the cultural centre of Hiddensee. It lies on the edge of the uplands, whose highest point is the Dornbusch. In Kloster, the Hiddensee Biological Station and the Hiddensee Bird Observatory, both branches of the University of Greifswald, which were both formed out of the Hiddensee Biological Research Institute, founded in 1930. Witt, first mentioned in 1513, is the main settlement and the largest and most central village on the island. The name is a derivation of V, a word that was used to refer to places where fish was sold. In Witt is the parish hall and council administration. In addition, there is the ferry landing stage for the goods ferry that brings delivery and waste disposal vehicles from Chapeau on the island of Rügen. Goods are transferred to trailers that are pulled by electric tractors and distributed to the food markets and restaurants on the island. Sometimes smaller goods are still delivered by horse and cart. The heath landscape on Hiddensee, between Witt and Nieuwendorf, is also part of Witt. In Witt is the oldest surviving house on the island, the Witch's House, the old summer house for Adolf Reichwein. In addition, there is the last-entered cinema and the Seeboon Hiddensee. Nieuwendorf is the southernmost settlement on Hiddensee. The inhabitants of Nieuwendorf are known by the rest of the island as Disuda. Although Nieuwendorf is only 6 kilometers from Witt, its inhabitants speak a different dialect. Large parts of Nieuwendorf resemble a large pasture on which the houses are arranged like a piece of string. There are no paths in places, so that some addresses may only be reached by walking over the grass. Nieuwendorf has its own harbour. Nieuwendorf consists of 2 originally independent villages. The older one, Plogshagen, existed as early as the 13th century, and the actual Nieuwendorf, which was formed in 1700 by relocation of people from Glambeek. Ruins of these settlements are still recognizable today northeast of Nieuwendorf parish. South of Nieuwendorf lies the sea-called Gelen, an important bird reserve that belongs to Conservation Zone I of the West Pomeranian Lagoon Area National Park and is thus out of bounds to the public. History. The first settlement of the island took place in the Middle and New Stone Age. After the Germanic population had left the southern Baltic region in the 6th century AD, the Rani took possession of the island. In 1168, King Valdemar I of Denmark defeated the Rani, conquered the fortress of Jaramarsberg on Arkona, brought them under Danish feudal dependency and introduced Christianity. Hiddensee was therefore under Danish rule. On the 13th of April 1296, the Hiddensee, as the salt seas flows around it, was presented by the Prince of Rügen, Václav II and Inkscape Abbey. Here a Cistercian abbey was founded, called Nikolaikamp, named after St. Nicholas, the patron saint of sailors. In fact, the monastery was called Hiddensee Abbey for the entire time of its existence. Concurrent with the construction of the monastery, from 1302 to 1306, the Gelen Church was built in the south of the island, a small beacon, the Lugta, and the first harbour. The foundations of these buildings are located west of the Gelen today in the Baltic Sea. In 1332, the island church, which is still there today, was consecrated in the current parish of Kloster outside the abbey walls, especially for the farmers and fishermen on the island. On the transfer of the font from the Gelen church to the new church, pastoral duties were henceforth carried out from there. The barrel vault, built around 1781, was painted with the rose pattern in 1922 by Berlin artist Nicholas Niemeyer. The abbey was dissolved in 1536 in the wake of the Reformation. During the 30 Years' War from 1618 to 1648, the mixed oak forest on the Dornbusch was burned down on the orders of Wallenstein in 1628. The aim was to prevent the Danes using the island as a source of wood for the ships. Even today the layer of ash can be seen a few centimeters under the grass sward on the edges of the footpaths near the lighthouse Anden. In the years from 1648 to 1815, the Hiddensee, like the rest of West Pomerania, found itself under Swedish rule. From 1754 to 1780, Joachim Ulrich Gies was the owner of the island and began quarrying clay for the factory he founded, the Strauss under Fayensen manufacture. 1801 to 1944. From 1815, Hiddensee and West Pomerania belonged to Prussia until the end of the Second World War, and was part of the county of Landkreis Rügen. In 1835, the Stralsund Abbey, Klosters Heiligengeist, bought the island, and in 1837 and 1840 the first schools on the island were built in Plogshagen and Kloster. In the years between 1854 and 1864, as part of the abolition of serfdom, the real estate on the Hiddensee was reallocated. During this period. From 1861, the reforestation of the Dornbusch began. In each of the years 1872 and 1873, the island was hit by severe storm floods. The first broke Hiddensee in two when the entire center section of the island was flooded, something which could only be reversed by extensive building measures. After the second storm flood, the famous Hiddensee treasure was supposed to have been found. A replica of it can be seen today in the Hiddensee Local History Museum. The original is kept in the Stralsund Museum of Cultural History. In 1874, the district of Hiddensee was formed. In 1888, the lighthouse was built in Kloster and lifeboat station completed. In 1892, the first time regular steamer plied between Stralsund and Kloster. In 1905, with the founding of the Medical Administrative Union, the first doctor on Hiddensee was appointed. In 1927, the island was connected to the electrical network. 3 years later, the Biological Research Station was established, from which, in 1936, a bird observatory was formed, the Hiddensee Biological Research Station. Between 1937 and 1939, the 3 parishes on the island were merged into the municipality of Hiddensee. In the 1920s, Hiddensee was an artists' colony that included Erich Heckel, Kathy Kollwitz, Karl Zuckmeyer, Lion Feuchtwanger, Georg Gross, among others. Some of the important artists today are Harold Metzges, Torsten Schluter and Helga Leiberg. Also Thomas Mann, Albert Einstein, Sigmund Freud and Franz Kafka spent their holidays on Hiddensee in the 1920s. Opera soprano Lotte Lehmann spoke very fondly of vacationing at Hiddensee in her autobiography, 1945 to 1989. In 1945, Hiddensee was occupied on 4 and 5 May by Soviet troops. The same and the following year, as part of the land reform in the Soviet zone of occupation, Hiddensee was split into 18 new farmer plots. In 1952, the ferry service between Seehof on Rügen and Farinsel ceased. In the years 1952 to 1955, the island belonged to the county of Bergen. In 1953, during Action Rose, several hoteliers fled to the west and others were arrested. After this action, all hotels on the island were taken over by the Free German Trade Union Federation. In the 50s, the museum and the Gerhard Hauptmann House were opened, and the Dornbusch Agricultural Production Cooperative was founded. In 1962, the building of the dike between Kloster and Witt began. The cooperative shipping company was taken over by the Weissflot and the fishermen integrated into the Fishery Production Cooperative of Marine and Coastal Fishermen, the Suda branch in Neuendorf and Swantevit branch in Witt. On the 10th of April 1967, as a result of marine seismic investigations in the north of the island of Hiddensee, the Rügen 267th exploratory well began a period of oil exploration. The 4,602 meters deep exploratory well, like the following boreholes drilled up to December 1968, found no usable oil reserves. As a result, the already prepared 5th borehole was cancelled and all holes were refilled in the summer 1971. Hiddensee was considered a niche for dissidents and dropouts who worked in the summer, often in hotels, restaurants, or as lifeguards. On the small island they were easily controlled, and despite sometimes open Stasi observation, many meetings and incidents were allowed. On Hiddensee there was an intellectual climate, and artists, writers, actors, musicians and scientists retreated here, such as Joe Harbort, Christine Harbort, Gunter Kunner, Gert Bo, Harry Kupfer, Inge Keller, Gunther Fischer, Armin Müller-Stahl, Christoph Hein, Robert Romper. Members of the punk band Feeling B, Nina Hagen implies that she had never been to Hiddensee, but her famous hit You Forgot the Color film expressed a desire for this unusual island. On the 7th of May 1989, in the GDR local elections there were 4.7 dissenting votes. An urban legend during the GDR said that in order to escape the hardships of communist rule, the workers and farmers of Hiddensee wrote a letter to Joseph Stalin requesting to be annexed by Sweden. The legend reflects the humor typical of people in the GDR. 1989 to the present. In 1992 to the research establishments of the Schwedenhagen Research Station of the Berlin Central Institute of Electrophysics and the Fahrinsel Research Station of the Jena Central Institute of Microbiology and Experimental Therapy were closed. In 1996, the island won its municipal independence, but they lost it again in 2005 in the course of the municipal reform in Mecklenburg-Western Pomerania. Since then it has belonged to the sub-district of Amt West Rügen. Until 1990 the parish belonged to the county of Rügen in the province of Rostock and was in the same year part of the state of Mecklenburg-Western Pomerania. Storm floods. Time and again Hiddensee has been struck by storm floods. For example, in the year 1304 the island is supposed to have been separated from the island of Rügen by the All Saints flood, but this is disputed. Between 1864 and 1865 the island was breached 3 times by storm floods between Hoordunchengaan and Peterberg-Schigan, a very low-lying and narrow point. Hiddensee was again flooded near Plogshagen by the 1872 Baltic Sea flood on 12 and 13 November 1872. Even today, the island threatens to divide into a southern and a northern part, something which can only be avoided by extensive coastal defense measures. Transport. Private motor vehicles are banned throughout the entire island. For public services and agricultural purposes only a few motorized vehicles are permitted. As a result, the island is virtually car-free. Some of the permitted vehicles are equipped with electric propulsion. The majority of the public transport and part of the goods traffic is provided using horse-drawn carriages. A public bus service operated by the Rügener Personennahverkehr runs between the villages of Grieben, coast.The and Neuendorf. The island may be reached from Stralsund as well as Schaprode on Rügen with passenger ferries of the Reederei Hiddensee, which call at coast.The and Neuendorf. In the summer season there are additional services to Ralswijk, Breege, Wijk and Zingst. In addition, there are water taxi links with the mainland and the island of Rügen. Sites and museums. See also, list of heritage buildings on Hiddensee. Dornbusch Lighthouse. In the north of the island, on the Schluckswijk in the so-called Hochland of Hiddensee, stands the symbol of the island, the Hiddensee Lighthouse. 102 steps climb the tower that has been open to the public since 1994. So that it does not become too crowded at the top. Only 15 visitors may climb the tower at a time. From wind strength 6 the tower is closed for safety reasons. Gerhard Hauptmann House. In 1930 Gerhard Hauptmann bought the former Haus C. Dorn on Hiddensee. Today it houses a museum and is a venue for cultural events. Hiddensee Island Church. The Hiddensee Island Church in Kloster is part of an old monastery. It was consecrated in 1332 and served for centuries as the parish church for the island's inhabitants. Today the island church is the seat of the evangelical parish of Hiddensee. Lietzenburg. The Lietzenburg is an Art Nouveau villa, which the artist Oskar Kruse had built in the years 1904–1905. It is a brick building with a natural stone base on a hill near the Dornbusch. Hiddensee Local History Museum. The Hiddensee Local History Museum is a modest plastered building in Kloster. It has a permanent exhibition about the island's history with about 450 exhibits, documents, about 2,500 photographs, postcards and slides, as well as a comprehensive library. Several works of well-known representatives of the artists' colony on Hiddensee are also in the museum's collection. In the building there is also an exhibition about the abbey excavations in 2008, and the special exhibition celebrated the 100th anniversary of Egert Gustav's Hiddensee National Park House. The Hiddensee National Park House was opened in 1998. The house, located in the north of It, is a thatched building with a trapezoidal ground plan. It contains a permanent exhibition about the West Pomeranian Lagoon Area National Park with special emphasis on Hiddensee. The exhibition goes under the slogan Panterei alles Flyest. Asta Nielsen House, a round building named after the Danish word for carousel, is also called Carousel, and was occupied by Asta Nielsen. Blaue Scheune. The Blaue Scheune was originally a Low German hall house from the early 19th century. It currently houses the art gallery of its owner, Gunter Fink. Henny Lehmann House. The Landhaus Lehmann was used from 1907 to 1937 as a summer residence for the family of Henny Lehmann. It was designed by Schwerin architect Paul Emig. After that it was modified and was used until 1991 as the village hall of It. Since the 5th of June 2000 the house has been officially named the Henny Lehmann House and is used for events and exhibitions as well as the local library. Neuendorf Luftfeuergellen, the 12.30-meter high structure of sector-light beacon, is located south of Neuendorf on the northern boundary of the Gellen. It has lighthouse number C2586 and the coordinates 54.50806 degrees north, 13.07444 degrees east, 54.50806, 13.07444. The beacon has the official name Luftfeuergellen Hiddensee. The white steel tower with a red gallery and conical roof stands on a base of natural stone. It was built in 1904 by the firm of Julius Pinchag from cast sections, was tested in 1905 and fully operational in 1907. For the same production workshop come inter alia the similarly designed beacons of Ranzo and Kolika Ort, as well as Norddorf Lighthouse. The Gellen Hiddensee Lighthouse marks the northern entrance of the Gellenstrom, in the west marking the channel of the Gellenstrom itself, and in the east guiding ships through the Schaprode Bodden. The lighthouse was depicted on a 5 million mark currency note of 1923 for the county of Rügen. In the GDR postage stamp series, lighthouses, sector lights and mole beacons. From 1975 the Gellen beacon is the motif decorating the 10 Pfennig stamp. In popular culture, Hiddensee is depicted in a painting of the same name by the German expressionist Walter Gramatek, which is currently on display in the Brücke Museum in Berlin. Hiddensee is mentioned in Nina Hagen's song Du hast den Farbfilm vergessen. Hiddensee is used as subtitle of a music album Songs for the Apocalypse by German one-person indie band Entertainment for the Braindead, which was mainly recorded while camping at Hiddensee. The album's artwork also features a view of Dornbusch Lighthouse. Hiddensee is the title of a song by Berlin-based alternative band Skiing, featured on Muka Records' Cartouche Mix from 2013. Gallery.